the next round.
G'day guys, welcome to Spacey's Arcade, and yes, I am so excited about this pickup. Look at it! It is a Taito Speed Race, and of course guys, a bit of deja vu here because yes, we have two of them, and this is very similar. If you remember back to that video when we picked up the Taito basketball, my god, that old 1976 game, and I already had one, so we ended up having two and doing a very similar video to this, where I have the absolute opportunity and pleasure to share with you a comparison of two Taito Speed Races. Now, you guys that have watched the channel for a while will know that the one that I originally picked up, this one on my right, is not in great condition and was missing a lot of the original parts, but I had to save this cabinet. I couldn't let this go. Even though it's been converted so much, I was intending hopefully to pick up some parts over the years to restore it, guys, because this is my very special game way back in the day. Oh my god, and I'm sure I've recounted this story before, but very quickly picked up by a mate, I'm sure his name was Matthew, and got in the back of his Holden Kingswood, not his, it's Holden Kingswood, we're about, god how old were we, about 8, 9 or something, and into his parents' Holden's Kingswood, or at least his dad I think, and we rocketed down to a pub, and he drove like an absolute maniac, and I remember sliding around on the back seats, no seat belts back in those days guys. Got to a pub and he was drinking with his mates and stuff, and me and my mate found this game, and not this type of setup in terms of this Speed Race Deluxe version, which we have here. It was very special, but the original Taito Speed Race, which was the angled down version, which did make it over to New Zealand. I can't remember if that was actually one of Taito's cabs or an LAI cab that came from Australia, but anyway, it was one of the laid down cabs, and we played that game all night, and it was one of my first experiences of a top down racer. And this, guys, this came out before Space Invaders, you know, this and it's funny to me now thinking about it, because again, Space Invaders had such a huge impact on me, but I'm becoming more and more aware that there were so many other games like this, and the Haunted House gun game, you know that game? I remember that. There were some other games there along the way that came out, very Pong style games that came out before Spacey's did. But this game, Speed Race, oh my God, it was actually designed by the same guy who designed Space Invaders, and he actually said that it is still today one of his favourite games that he ever designed, and it is absolutely sensational. It's the first scrolling game ever in arcade history. It's very special from that point of view. But guys, just I don't know what parallel universe I keep flipping myself into to manage to score not just this one. It's one of those things, isn't it? You put yourself out, you're thinking about certain machines, and I don't know, I seem to be looking at the right time, be in the right place. This example, guys, came up, and I wasn't looking for it. I just did a search. I do a search on Taito every so often. I do it on arcade machines and arcade games and pinball machines and stuff. Occasionally I'll just go through Atari, you know, see Taito and see what comes up. And this came up locally. It had been in Gumtree for a week, for an entire week. I was like, oh my God. And it wasn't even actually asking a lot of money. And then when I looked at it more, I thought, hang on, I know this. I know the seller. And actually the video pinball that I picked up recently, guys, that you would have seen in the big arcade tour was also from this same seller. So I called him straight away and I said, hey, I see you got the Speed Race. I actually offered him a little less than he was asking, even though he was being very fair on it. But you know me, I like to get a bargain. And he did accept that. And then actually on the way there, I sort of thought, I'll chuck him in a carton for being so nice and coming to me with that price. So I chucked in a carton for him. But anyway, guys, he had listed this thing as complete. He listed it as working, but it had a very, very faint screen, and he showed a sort of picture of that. And that's really all I knew about it. When I got there, it was covered in dust. He hadn't cleaned it. I've just done a light clean here. I haven't done the top or anything, but I've given it a light clean just to see how it would come up. And guys, look at it. We're going to go right around this machine and have a good look. But we're also, yes, we're going to do a comparison against this machine because, guys, what I have since found out, just like the Taito basketball machines when we did that comparison, these have some very interesting subtle differences outside of the conversions, and I love this stuff. I love going back, trying to figure out what were they doing back in the day in this early Bronze Age part of video gaming history when they were changing these cabinets up. So guys, we're going to look at it. We're going to turn this beast on and see what we actually do have. Is it playable or not? We shall see. And I'm going to take you through all the differences. I'll show you the very unique PCB, which is unique to the deluxe version. And as a bit of a time sequence, the original Speed Race that came out in this sort of shorter, stockier cabinets, they came out in 74. This came out the next year in 75. They are very rare, actually, by the looks of things. Very little information on the internet about them. And I am going to show you as much as possible, guys. Because if there's anyone else out there with a Speed Racer Deluxe, please comment in the comments below about the machine that you have and some of the things I'm going to point out in this video. I'd love to know about your particular machine. So guys, we are going to start looking at the comparisons. I love doing spot the difference with these machines. And I tell you what, seriously, I did an initial spot the difference and I thought, oh, these are the things. And it was like, oh, hang on, there's more things. So it's like, it's crazy when you get down to the details. Anyway, let's go and look at the comparison. Before we do it, of course, this is a bit of a bonus video, guys. Just before the end of the year, I would normally do the Christmas episode and into the New Year episode straight away. But I just picked this up, came out of the blue. I have to share it with you before the year ends. Last pickup, of course, of the year. And before we get into the New Year's episode that is coming up, of course, for this video and for all the videos of this year, the people that have helped me most, not only you subscribers and everyone that are watching, but these special people for also supporting the channel through Patreon and PayPal. Thank you very much to these guys. Okay guys, let's look at these fantastic cabinets side by side here, and let's get the absolute obvious things out of the way in terms of the differences, which is of course the big part of the conversion aspects that I saw originally, and also some things that I'm not sure are conversions or not. I'm just not sure about them. But now that we have another one here, we can really get into the details. So the obvious things, of course, the monitor, the whole surrounds, it clearly was all ripped out. This has a World Rally in it now, and what a disaster that it lost all its beautiful yellow bezel there and the green perspex, because of course this is a black and white game sitting underneath that. And of course it lost the beautiful gauge. Oh my God, look at this. Are we going to see this working, guys? We shall see. And of course it had the LED score and time on the right hand side, and of course we lost that. And that was the biggest thing, guys. I was really worried about getting this one restored back to its former glory, because those key components were missing. And of course, when we got down to the steering wheel, well, we didn't actually have a 360 steering wheel. We've got a 180, it's all chewed up here, and of course a replacement from the original, which is a 360. Sounds a bit rattly. And then we can look and see, well, okay, someone actually cut in a button here. Of course, there isn't a button on the original, and I saw that from the pictures anyway. Of course, that was a aftermarket cut-in, which was a bit of a shame. Now, beyond that, there starts to be some subtle differences other than the coin door, which is clearly different. And we'll talk about that in a moment, but I think what I'm going to do is, gosh, it's so hard to decide what to start with in terms of the other actual differences to the cabinet itself and what Taito must have done. In a similar way to the Taito basketballs, there was some subtle differences in terms of like the T-molding, for example. And you can see, of course, on this one, we've got this metal T-molding, and on this one, we've got the beautiful and more recent, I think, T-molding which Taito used. This is the original orange Taito T-molding. It looks absolutely superb. But if you look at the original photos for this game on the flyers, you will actually see the silver T-molding. So that one I thought was interesting in itself. Of course, this whole bottom piece, wow, this is really bizarre. So this is definitely the layout which is on the original flyers again. This is not. What is really interesting is that we sort of got the wood style here, which is hard to see, but you can sort of see it's got that sort of grainy texture in there. And we do have that over here, which is really odd. I just find this is really strange. Be interesting to see if anyone else out there that has a deluxe speed race, what do you have on the front here? What is the finish? And over here you can see like it's sort of lost, it's got cut in here, like it's been split away from the original wood. I don't know why. This has been added clearly as probably some sort of prevention to get in through into the coin area, as well as this big bar that they've stuck across here also to protect the coin box, which is at the bottom. So these are definitely aftermarket parts that have been added. But yeah, there's something going on here. I don't know why this wood has been stripped here, if that was the original wood. If it is the original wood, is this the original wood? And if so, why does it have that coin door and not the Taito one? And to me, I don't know, that just seems like a bizarre mystery. Of course, it's absolutely ripped up down the bottom, so there was going to be work done to this cabinet to resolve that. But that in itself is very interesting to me. Now, the little details, guys, the little details. Look at this. Look at this little slope here on the accelerator. On this one and on this one, it's cut in a lot. These are the things that I notice. This step is sort of the same, although it's a little bit shallower here, but I think that's just because the wood is expanded and so forth. But other than that, down the bottom, those are the key differences. Now, on the main control panel, other than, of course, the main steering wheel, which has been changed, the interesting thing I find here is that this definitely is the original shifter. This one is like a brush metal. This one is beautiful chrome. And on other flyers, there is a site called arcade72.com. Somewhat interesting because my lucky numbers are 2 and 7. And that particular site, he has picked up one of these years ago, back in like 2013 or so. And his one is really interesting. His actually has the chrome gear stick, and he lives in Chicago, and they didn't get the Taito machines over there, so they would have got the Midway license version of this game, which was called Wheels. Well, that was the original one in terms of Speed Race. The Speed Race Deluxe equivalent in the US was Wheels 2 from Midway. So he picked up this Taito one, which was very unusual in Chicago. And he feels like it's a complete like home use only. It's never been out on location. Just quality of it looks absolutely superb. and he thinks that it may have been actually, bought over by the Taito executives for Midway originally when they did their licensing deal. He picked it up, I can't remember where he picked it up, but it could have been part of an estate type sale, and it's just amazing. But what he didn't put in his article, which blew me away absolutely, was his control panel is reversed. So he has his shifter on the right hand side and the instructions here, and I thought that the image was just flipped, but of course this was on the same side as mine, as well as the marquee. So he's got an absolute unique one which I have not seen in any other images, and there are only a few, guys. There's not a lot of images on this game at all. There's one short video on one, a really nice example of one, and that example is more like mine, although again there's a couple of extra differences on mine that even that one doesn't have. So let's get into the other subtle differences here. It's absolutely crazy to me, guys, when I start looking at this stuff, because it's like, why did they do these little changes? Oh, by the way, the gear knob itself, I'm not sure if this is the original one for this version with the brushed silver. The ones that I've seen that have chrome, they have a wooden shifter on there. This one, that was actually the only thing that was missing on it, so it did not have a shifter knob on top of it, which I think should be the wooden, like T-bar type of shifter. So I just added this, I think, very sexy Levoque gear knob, which I have got plenty of those actually. If anyone needs a gear knob, hit me up. And from my old car parts and accessories days of selling stuff, those things are coming in useful. But anyway, so that's the main differences there, except for one final thing, which is the colorization of the instructions. Now, I've seen pictures where this is definitely green, and you can see this is green, and this looks like that this stuff that was inserted in here was maybe inserted by factory and was done in green, because it's very suspicious that this one is all in orange, and also that one with the one coin, starting, I think, maybe from factory, and then of course you could change it out, but unless there was some, some kit of the different sort of coin things that you could just choose from and stick in there, but I think that was from factory. But anyway, the main thing there, guys, is that it's very strange. We've got orange on one and green on the other. So strange. Then we have this top bar here. We don't have that on my one, and it looks like it could have, this was a bit of a problem, because we're missing a bit of the top of this part of the control panel, which is a bit sad. I'm not sure how I can fix that, but maybe that was a problem, and then they started adding, these bars. This bar looks to be very like someone's added it. Maybe an operator added it afterwards. Certainly from pictures, I don't see that bar. I see it more like this. All right, guys, now that we get into the main area, now some of the examples online, I've seen they've got this sort of like blue sticker thing here. I'm not sure what's on there. And I don't have that sticker. Obviously, someone's added the sorry, no refunds. But, and of course, I can't do any other comparisons to the other machine in that regard. But we see some other interesting things, very interesting things. So here underneath, we get under here and take a look, you can see that we've got the speaker panel on an angle. And this is definitely original speaker paneling. And we have nothing under the main marquee. Well, on this one, of course, all this is gone anyway, but we actually have very much a factory speaker one here. Now, when I look online, I see every other example that I can see online has the actual speaker like this, and all the yellow marquee is all set back just straight up to it, and it doesn't have this angled speaker area, which is definitely factory. So they definitely changed that part of it along the way, which again is so cool to see these little differences as they've manufactured these and changed it. And so I'm thinking that this version, this particular example that I've got, might be quite a late model. Unfortunately, it does not have the serial number on the back of it, whereas the other one does. I'll show you that soon. When we get up to the top, the marquee, I really struggle to look for any differences here. The main thing I can see in terms of differences, the actual marquee itself is the same, but the main thing is just the surround. Looks like some holes in here that have been drilled as aftermarket, and then under here there's been some screws added, but you know, this one is all sort of the original nailed in version, which is what sort of the earlier Taito cabs tended to do. But the strange thing is up the top here, you can see this is more nailed in, half pulled out. We have a couple of things that are interesting. First of all, on this one, we've got this weird big wide piece and it doesn't sort of line up at the front. So I don't know what has gone on there. It doesn't look aftermarket. It looks like that was actually from factory like that. So I don't know, that's really, really strange. And then of course, right on the top here, you'll see that there is an actual opening where you can get into the top with a keyhole. And on this one, I haven't cleaned it yet, there isn't a way to get in there. So that's strange. And then we have these like little, this thick metal piece that's sort of holding the cabinet together on both sides. And on this version, it's this sort of squashed piece of metal. It's nowhere near as big and chunky as the other one. And the pictures that I've seen have been typically these sort of squashed ones. I haven't seen a picture with these sort of big, chunky pieces. Again, guys, you know, just very, very subtle differences, but things that I just find so cool to compare. You just wouldn't find these things when just looking at a picture from one to the other. Now, on the artwork itself, the artwork is the same, although it's slightly offset. Of course, that could be just the way the printing process was done. But you can see here, like the number of dots through to this wheel here is not here. So it's like, it's probably just been offset in terms of the printing. I don't think it's a complete different side art. But even that in itself is sort of pretty funky. And while I'm looking at it now, I'm trying to figure out if there is a slight variance in the way that this slopes up, because you can even see where these tire tracks go up to the top actually is very similar to that. So is it coming out wider, or is this part of the wood wider? Because this wood is different, and this was a little finding I didn't find out until I really, really looked at the machines, guys. Can you spot it? This was a real subtle one. So you can see on this one, we've got this bulge, okay? So it's actually bulged out. This is straight down. And the ones online I've seen are typically all bulging. Even the one that's on the RK72 side is bulging, but with the orange T-molding. So again, just a complete mix and match as they change things up in the factory back in the day. So yeah, guys, tons and tons of subtle differences. Oh my God, just crazy. So let's go around the back and have a look. Of course, there's no point looking inside this machine. Everything was stripped out of it, and it was a World Rally 2 was stuck in there, so no point doing some comparisons. But let's get this one turned around. Let's have a look inside. Let me show you the very unique PCB, which is different to the original Speed Race. And I'm excited to show you that because I don't see many images online about it. And I'm really interested if anyone can provide additional information about the PCB, because there's a few things on there that don't line up to the only manual that's online currently, which is covers the original, the non-deluxe version of Speed Race. So let's swing it around, guys. Let's take a look inside. Okay, first things first though, let's look at the serial number on the one that has been converted. So we can see here, hopefully you can read that, 48119. So yeah, and it's got the original sort of tags that all these Taito machines have, offset on the right a little. So if we look now over on this machine, we can see that there's actually, I don't think there's anything that look like, no, I don't think so. There's no pinholes there. There's definitely pinholes here. It looks like a smaller tag. The Taito ones aren't normally that small. So I'm not sure what's going on there. There was another subtle difference I did notice actually between the two. Again, just a minor thing, but you can see they've got these two bolts through here. This is all the same in here. Two bolts on that side, and on this one we don't have that. So again, some sort of change to the cabinet design. All right, now we look in the back here. It's not locked, there's no lock. Let me take this off. Okay guys, now let's look inside of here, and first of all let's look at this PCB, and hopefully at a later stage when we go through a bit of a restore on this, because I really want to spend some time on this, guys. This is a really important machine, and I want to get this up and looking really nice, working properly. But yeah, you'll see on here, this is different if you do compare it to an original Speed Race from 74. And some of the differences are there's multiple pots on here. Now there's two pots on the original 74, which I think, if I remember rightly, adjust the position of the car. Recall what the other one does. I think that's those two pots there. But then we've got two more pots up here which aren't covered on the original manual, and there's another pot down here, and there's also, remember rightly, yep, there's a pot, a bit hard to see guys, but there's a pot at the back there as well. And then there's also two switches here. Now, interestingly, on the original Taito 74, you could actually switch from the front of the game into an advanced mode, and this doesn't have that on the Deluxe. And I'm wondering if one of those switches will do that. Now, I haven't touched these switches. I haven't touched any of these pots, just in case I change it from its current state of operation. But I can't find any manuals, no schematics, nothing for the Deluxe version of this board, guys. So if anyone out there is watching, can shed any light on any of this, please comment below. Otherwise, I'm going to have to try and work this stuff out. All right, so the other bizarre thing is we've got, I don't know what this is on here. Again, if someone can point out why I have this little board down on the power chassis board with pots on the top, that is really strange. Haven't seen that before. I've got another little board over here. I think that relates to the coin, or no, it looks like it might be could be part of the LED matrix. God, guys, again, it's so good to have all these original boards in here. Those are the things that just go missing, you just cannot replace. So, I mean, everything else in here, guys, is minty fresh from the factory. I'm not sure what that little box is there. I haven't gone and had a look at that. And on the right hand side here, of course, we see the back of the gauge. And then, of course, we have the black and white monitor. And according to the instructions in the manual, you can change these dials. This is sound, and I think this is either brightness, contrast, and then vertical hold, I believe. And I think this is horizontal hold, although it wasn't doing that. And in fact, it doesn't look like that sort of hooked up to horizontal hold. It looked like it was sort of hooked up around for the power for the flyback. I don't know. I'm a bit green when it comes to the way these black and white monitors work. So, and you know, again, if it's a little bit dim and stuff, maybe there's some caps that need changing. But this is sort of very much, I think, almost like a TV, because it's actually got the sound pot as all sort of part of it, which is typically like a TV, and then that runs up to the speaker, which is in the dark there. There we go. So yeah, amazing that it has got everything in here complete, unmolested. But yeah, and look, there's some 20s down there. Some 20s, a bunch of 20s. And let me have a look. Let's see if we've got some dates on here. I always like looking at dates on 20s to sort of get a bit of an idea. What have we got here? That is a 1961 20. That's so cool. Let's have a look in here. Another one. I remember when we put it in the car, I heard this chang, clang, clang, clang. Oh man, and this is a 1977. Oh, we can see that on there. That is so cool. These were clearly the original 20-cent pieces that were used on this machine back in the day. And who knows what else is in that coin box, because I don't have the key for it. Maybe there's some more coins, and that's where these other ones flicked out when we did do the move. But guys, it's original, and I'm so excited. This is one hell of a pickup. All right, I'm going to get the back of this back on now, and then I'm going to switch it around. We're going to turn it on. Let's see what we get. Now, I must admit, guys, when I turned this on the first time, I was like, okay. Those marquee lights come up. These lights come up, logic showing here, the time, game over. There was no hum of a fan, but of course there's no fan in here, so it was just dead silent. And the guy did actually show me that it was showing cars on the screen, so I thought, okay, maybe it's a little bit like, that Asteroids issue that I had, and also even with the Tato basketball, I've got to leave that thing on for almost half an hour before it comes up and the caps work up enough energy in them to work. And then I saw the screen come up, and it's just starting to come up now. We will turn off the lights in a minute, or it will give it a brighter image, but it will actually brightens up enough actually to play it even with the lights on, and that's only because I went in and I adjusted the brightness and contrast, which I know seems a very simple thing to do, but funny thing on this monitor is that if you crank the brightness and both brightness and contrast way up, it actually seems to cancel out and it ends up giving less of a picture, so you have to get it back and balance it almost midway to get the maximum brightness out of it. I still feel that it's down on brightness, and some sort of recapping is in order, but for now it is bright enough to see. So this will come up a little bit. I'll just let it wait until it really comes up. We'll switch the lights off and then we'll have another look at it. Okay guys, so one of the first things that you'll notice is that there's only just one car floating along here, and I was pretty sure when I first got this game that there were multiple, and even in the game when we play it, we're only going to get our own car and one other car coming past every time, and that's supposed to be multiple. Now, I don't know if that might be due to the difficulty, and maybe one of the switches on the board is actually the thing that's going to give me those multiple cars. Again, I didn't want to try that first because I wanted to make sure I could show you guys it all working as I received it. And perhaps another day we're going to work out what those switches and stuff are, if I can get a little bit more information from the community about it. The other thing is that the car sort of jitters a little bit sometimes. It sort of slows down and stuff. I'm not sure if that's normal, but that does seem like a bit of a quirk. But other than that, we actually have a working game. We can play it racing against one other car. The tack actually works, which is incredible. I'm not sure if that's supposed to have a light behind it. That'd be really cool if it did. And we have the timer and the score all work. So the only thing is I think there's a difference with the accelerator on the Deluxe is actually, I looked at the back, it's a pot. A potentiometer, as opposed to on the original version, which was just a switch on and off. And I think that's related in terms of getting the nice smooth movement on the RPMs. And the shifter is a little bit dodgy. It doesn't always shift in, and I'm not sure if there's some problems with the pot and the shifter in combination, so I tend to sort of tweak it a little bit to get the car moving. It tends to shoot off on its own a little bit, but it does slow down and stuff. But anyway, you'll see that as we go. So let's just get started. And You can see, and it's doing the collision detection. So let's get this in first. Here we go. And into second. See the RPM going up there. And yeah, sometimes it seems to go at a higher pitch. So I don't know if I'm getting all the way up in terms of the higher speed. And the steering wheel also, okay, is a little bit jittery. And I did look at the mech in there, which is another thing we'll look at another day when we get into restoring this. We need to get these mechs out, pots out, new pots, change it over. It gets into the little ice area that this game does. So let's see if I can get it. Yeah, see, it goes higher there. It's going faster. So, I don't know, I sort of had to just double shift to get it to do that. So I think that's just the pots and stuff. So this is the normal fastest speed, I think. Yeah, challenging even just with one car. We're getting down low on the time here. If I get to 2000, it will actually give me more time. Let's see if I can do that with the remaining seconds here. Getting close. Nope. I'm gonna hit. Oh, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. Come on, come on. Just missed out. All right, let's have another go at that. I have actually got past that, especially only with one car there. Makes it a little easier. But I tell you what, guys, this is actually cool in terms of the challenge. And I do remember that back in the day. You know, once it gets right up to speed and you're right at the end here. Oh, that's that wheel going a bit funny. And you get to the end of the speed. Come on, here we go. Yep. Up and down. It's not going as fast. Come on. Step down, changed on the RPMs. Is it picking up? No. That going down to first. That might be it. Yep. Here we go. Here we go. So yeah, these controls need to be sorted out big time. Let's see if we can get over the 2000 mark. Gosh, this game, and I do remember it. I remember it so well with the multiple cars. It gets so difficult. Just with one, it's keeping me on my toes. If I move the steering wheel too fast, it sort of jitters, so it's not sort of reading correctly. Because I think the way it's like a wheel with holes in it. It's quite an interesting little setup back in the day. Now we've passed 2000, so when this counts down to 9 here, this is going to reset and give us more time. Oh, by the way, the other pot I just remembered. One was the position on the screen, the other one was the pot was for the amount of time that you would get. But again, I don't know what all those other pots that I have on the deluxe version are. But guys, this is so good. This is fun. This is fun. And I can't wait to get these other cars. And I think maybe the way these discrete logic boards work is there's going to be sections of the board that control the other cars, and for some reason they are no longer working. And again, I'm a little bit worried because I thought I did see more cars when I first turned it on, and now it is down to one. But look at it, you know, even when you crash, you go off the side, that side bar disappears so you can get back on the screen, and then it comes back in. All those little things and part of this game all built into that discrete logic on that board is crazy. I don't know if there's little dashes, they look a little bit odd on the side here. Should be there, maybe they should be, because it gives that sense of illusion of speed if it's sort of supposed to be like a grass effect. I don't know, it looks a little bit strange. Again, anyone that's out there that's got this game and knows how it should look, please let me know. But guys, oh, I love this. This is history. All right, guys, we are going to finish up. So that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this rather bonus video before the end of the year. If you are watching this before the new year kicks in, have a safe New Year's Eve and Happy New Year. But of course, we're going to do a separate episode in the new year to welcome it in and talk about some of the changes in season 3. This is the last video of season 2. Again, I hope you really enjoyed it. I absolutely enjoyed doing this video for this machine. It is awesome and I am genuinely excited to have this now in the collection. And I've got to figure out a way how it's going to fit inside the arcade, because I definitely want it in there. But we will talk about that more in the new year episode. If you haven't subscribed, guys, make sure you do subscribe. Give this video a thumbs up if you like it. It all helps. And if you have any information about this machine, please let me know. The more information, the better at this stage as I try and work it out. And of course, guys, this machine ended up going through the whole sequence of variations of this right through. There was a twin version of this which was crazy awesome, where you race together. I think the original actually allowed you to select 2 players too, and you could go turn about for somehow. I don't think this one does, so that's interesting. And then I think it was Super Speed Race came after that, and then the CL5 version was mixed in there somewhere, and there was even a cocktail version, guys, a whole variations of them. But they all led through to what I believe is one of the stunning incarnations of this particular game, which is Grand Champion. And of course, you guys know that watch the channel, I've got the cockpit in there and it was converted from original, but I have figured out a way to play that game and not using the original PCB and not using MAME. We will look at that another day, but I'm pretty excited about that because it's a sort of a follow-on, and it's great to see Grand Champion actually running in my Grand Champion cockpit actually, funnily enough. Anyway, we'll talk about that another day. This though is where it all started. First scrolling car game. Come on, this is absolute gold dust. I'm so happy. Anyway, guys, that's it for this episode. Of course, I'm going to have another game, and for that, if you got a 20,
fight like a robot.